I've got a 5.5 pound chicken here, and I'm going to trim off like some of the little excess skin that we don't need, and pull out some of the stuff that may be inside the cavity that we don't want to cook up. And all in all, it's a pretty clean bird. I'm going to be grilling this bird, and I'm going to do it on the kettle, and I'm going to spatchcock it in order to do that. When I say spatchcock, that means this is the back, I'm going to cut down the sides of that backbone, open it up so that I have a flatter surface of chicken to cook, and it'll cook more evenly. And what I like to do, like I just make a little mark of where I want to go with the knife. Then I take my kitchen shears and I go up the side of that backbone. Not through the middle of it, through the side of it. So what we have now is this backbone plus the regular side of the chicken. Then I'm going to open it up, and inside there's this bone here. And what I'm going to do is take my knife and make a cut there so that I can just squish it open. And there I have my chicken spatchcocked. There we go. This is just a view of the chicken cut open. As I mentioned before, I have one side of the backbone, which includes the tail, and then the other side, for which I've cut through. This is the front side of the chicken, and just had it positioned so that when I cook it, you can see how it'd be a more flat surface and easier for the chicken to cook evenly. The other thing I want to point out, this is just an FYI, when I just do plain chicken, I usually put a piece of plastic on my countertop to cut it up, and that minimizes the contamination of my counter. Now I still have to clean my counter, but I'm not as worried that it would be as contaminated as if I didn't use this. Plus it makes cleaning a little bit easier. The next step for this bird is to put some salt on it. I'm going to salt brine it, and after I put the salt on, then I have another seasoning mixture that I'm going to put on it, and I'll show you that in a little bit. So I've got some salt here, and I've got some canola oil spray. I'm going to spray lightly this bird, and the reason for that spraying is primarily just to have the seasoning stick on better. And then I'll just put a coating on that salt on my bird. And I'm going to turn it over. And I'm going to spray this side. Another FYI is that all of my containers and stuff that I touch, I make sure that after finishing the bird that I do wipe it off with a sanitizer. So let's salt the front of this bird. And the amount of salt that I had in this bowl was approximately about a couple tablespoons. And we'll call this my dry brine. This is my herbal seasoning mixture. And what I have in here are a lot of different herbs. I've got your usual parsley, sage, rosemary, thyme, onion powder, garlic powder. I've got a little cayenne powder in there, celery, celery seeds that have been ground up. But also I've got some cayenne powder. And I just mixed all this up, and we'll call this an all-purpose seasoning rub, which is what I'm going to put on my chicken in addition to the salt that I salted it with. There's no salt in this container. These are just all herbs and spices. I'm going to just take my little herb blend and sprinkle all over the chicken. And this is the back side. Get those legs involved also. And I'm pretty generous with this. And just pat it around. I'm going to turn the chicken over. We'll get the front side. Now what I did was I took whole bay leaves, dried parsley, dried oregano, dried sage. What else did I say? Parsley, sage, dried parsley, dried rosemary, dried thyme, and I ground those all together with the additional things I said, the onion powder and the garlic powder, cayenne and the red pepper. I ground all that in my herbal grinder. And that's it. I'm going to put this in the refrigerator for a couple of hours, and we'll take it out and put it on the grill. This is a half pan, and I can fit this whole chicken in that half pan, and this is what is going to go in the refrigerator. So this is clean up, and I can just take this plastic trash bag and put it in the back to the side. I've got my wipes here, and I'll wipe off the top of the cap in addition to the can. And I've already washed my hands, so if you're saying, oh, those gloves still have stuff on them, I did wash that already. And I've got my container with my seasoning mixture. And I'll just top that off. And then we just wash that pipe off the countertop. And the last thing that we wipe off is going to be the camera. My spatchcocked chicken was in the refrigerator. Actually, it's about 2.5 hours. And I took it out. I sprayed it with a little more canola oil. And I'm getting ready to put it on the grill. The Weber grill set up. I've got a few chunks of wood in there. That's hickory wood. And I'm going to put the chicken indirect, fire down there, and I'm going to put the chicken indirect here, and I'm going to start off with the legs and the thighs pointed in one direction, then I'll rotate it as the cook goes on. Okay, we're on. Fire flamed up when it got exposed to more air, so I'm going to get on and cover this up again so we can get this chicken grilled. This is about 30-35 minutes in. And because of that seasoning mix, The color is pretty dark. I'm going to turn it around. I covered the chicken with some foil, and that way it'll minimize the darkening. We'll come back in about 10 minutes and rotate it again. We are 1 hour in, and I'm now going to turn it around again. Got the chicken off the smoker. I put it in a pan, cover it to rest, and now I'm getting ready to cut it up for dinner.